Warframe has been updating at lightning speed, with seemingly massive updates being released by Digital Extremes every couple months. And not only are these updates massive, but they're also extremely high quality and help push the story into new and interesting directions. I mean, to be completely honest with you, us Warframe fans have absolutely nothing to complain about. We've been eating good. And if, for some reason, you've never played Warframe before, I absolutely recommend you get into it. There's never been a better time. The developer team has never been more active with the content that we're getting. We're getting new stuff like constantly, like I said. However, what I'm covering today isn't anything from these new updates. In fact, it's not even about any of the factions involved with the newest updates. The topic that I'm covering today has seemingly been left on ice by Warframe since 2022. And I am of course talking about the beautiful leaders of the Grineer Empire, the Twin Queens. Before we talk about whether Warframe has forgotten the Twin Queens, we need to understand exactly who they are, where they came from, and why they were once some of the most important characters in the entire Origin system. And we are starting from the very beginning here, for 3 different reasons. 1, it provides context for why their absence is so strange. 2, the lore and story surrounding them is genuinely really interesting and some of the best in the entire game. And 3, because it'll make this video reach past 8 minutes and help me monetize it, so like and subscribe baby and help support the channel. Also use that hype feature if it's available to you. But seriously, thank you guys so much for giving this video a chance, and I hope you enjoy it. Anyway, let's get right into it. The Twin Queen's story begins in the Orkin era, where a powerful nobleman fathered identical twin daughters, something the Orkin considered repulsive. To them, identical twins resembled the cloned Grineer slaves far too closely, and the elders who gathered at their birth demanded the babies be killed. Yes, the Orkin were so vain that they wanted to kill 2 babies just because they were identical twins. That is literally the only reason why. No wonder they eventually had a rebellion rise against them. These guys were shitheads. Their father refused to kill them, which earned him the Dad of the Year award, and he actually managed to protect them with his power and influence, but the twins still grew up despised and isolated by all the Orkin who encountered them. They were essentially ultra bullied growing up, and it kind of caused them to despise the Orkin around them. The only people who ever understood them were each other, and that bond together would eventually help fuel the creation of one of the most powerful factions within the history of the Orkin system. After the Old War ended and the Orkin Empire collapsed, the Grineer slaves rose up and began killing their former masters. In the chaos, the twins, now young Orkin no longer protected by their father's influence, were forced to fight for their lives. Grineer surrounded the queens, and horde after horde attempted to slay the sisters, with their hate for the Orkin burning in their souls. However, after seeing the power of the twins, the Grineer paused and looked at them. Their identical nature began to resonate with the Grineer, who saw themselves reflected in these outcast sisters. If these twins could survive and achieve such power, then so could they. And so, for the first time in history, the Grineer bowed, not to the Orkin, but to the twins themselves. This moment marked the birth of the Grineer Empire as we know it. The bodies the queens inhabit today are not their original Orkin bodies, which is why they are not identical when we actually see them in the game. Like many Orkin elites, they achieve longevity through continuity, transferring their minds into new vessels, or bodies. But unlike Orkin nobles, the Queen's vessels are crude, Grineer clone crafted bodies, part flesh, part machinery, with some grotesque experimenting being done on the side. The Elder Queen appears slightly more regal, draped in red and black, with a pointed crown-like hat and a mechanical right arm used to hold the Kuva scepter. Her lower body is serpentine and unnervingly fluid. The Worm Queen is even more unsettling, pale and heavily augmented, with both arms being mechanical, with cybernetic eyes and a noseless, face-like Grineer mask. Her lower half is slug-like. It's nasty. Personality-wise, the queens are everything you'd expect from tyrannical dictators descended from the Orkin lineage. Cruel, arrogant, and utterly indifferent to suffering. If you think they'd be different because of how they were treated growing up, you'd be wrong. In fact, they seem to be even crueler than the typical Orkin was. The Elder Queen is more composed and calculating, often silencing and belittling her younger sister. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I think they're the same age, they're identical twins, but she seems to be older. She's called the Elder Queen. I don't know, shut the fuck up. Anyway, but yet, she still shows flashes of genuine concern for her sister. The Worm Queen, meanwhile, is impulsive, psychotic, and disturbingly gleeful about violence, openly suggesting cannibalizing the Tenno and abandoning her sister during danger. Their relationship, once loving, has decayed into something twisted, but still strangely dependent on one another. Throughout the rise of the Grineer, the Queens oversaw countless military and scientific projects meant to increase their power. They approved Vahek's Ghoul project, spared him from death when Tingus betrayed him, and unintentionally created the hysterical metallic monster he would later become. They ignored Tingus's dangerous infestation research and blamed the Tenno for the outbreak he caused, and they later empowered Vahek to construct massive Balor Fomorians, ships capable of wiping out Tenno relays in minutes. When the Tenno destroyed the Fomorians, the Queens nearly executed Vahek for wasting resources, but everything changed during the War Within. With the Elder Queen's body deteriorating and the Tenno fully awakened, the Queens ordered Teshin, a former Dax soldier bound by a Kuva scepter, to bring a Tenno before them. The Tenno infiltrated the Kuva fortress and eventually confronted the Queens in person. Teshin disabled the Warframe, allowing the Elder Queen to begin continuity, attempting to forcibly overwrite the Tenno's mind and take their body as her new vessel. Through a psychological assault, she tried to break the Tenno by forcing him to relive the trauma of the Zariman. But with Teshin's help, the Tenno regained their void powers, escaped the mental trap, and returned to the throne room. The Worm Queen fled immediately, while the Elder Queen fought personally, using an impenetrable shield that only dropped when she struck. By exploiting that weakness, the Tenno seized the Kuva scepter, stripped her of her power, and depending on the player's choice, the Elder Queen dies by the Tenno's hand, by Teshin's blade, or by being abandoned to her failing body. In all versions, the Elder Queen is dead. With her sister gone, the Worm Queen then becomes the sole ruler of the Grineer. She begins spreading Kuva siphons across the system, collecting enough Kuva to create Larvalines, which eventually become Kuva Licks, the most elite soldiers in Grineer history. But despite her new role, she shows signs of emotional unraveling. In Lewis Prey, she plays cards with a painted helmet shaped like her sister's crown, talking to it as though it is the Elder Queen still, and that she's still alive. She sends hunts to Luau, taunts the Tenno, and delights in her own cruelty, but the loneliness is obvious. After the New War, she rapidly reestablishes control over Grineer space and sends troops to claim the Zariman, competing against Parvos Granum while ignoring the existential threat posed by the Void Angels. Yet despite her activity, something does feel different. Her presence in the story is scattered, lighter, and directionless, to be completely honest with you. Almost as if she's become a leftover piece of Warframe's earlier narrative rather than an ongoing central villain. And this is where the real question emerges for us. After everything the Queens once represented, after reshaping and shaping the Grineer Empire, after nearly stealing the body of the Tendo, after surviving countless centuries of through continuity and war, has Warframe simply moved on from them? Have the Twin Queens been forgotten? Or something much bigger waiting in the future? Also, I know this was all over the place. I wanted to briefly cover all of their lore, so I do apologize for the super long section where I jumped from topic to topic. I just wanted to cover pretty much everything about them, so I hope that's okay. Now let's move on to the next section, baby. Since Lewis Prey, and to be honest, the Elder Queen's death more specifically, the Grineer have seemingly taken a back seat in the story of Warframe. Yeah, they've sent soldiers out occasionally, such as at the Zariman, and have been seen gathering Kuva blood, but they haven't really been leading any full-scale aggressive operations against anyone. I actually have a theory about that. I believe, for whatever reason, after centuries of living in suboptimal bodies, the Twin Queens' minds had deteriorated. Because of that, their sanity and decision-making was quickly leaving them. Or well, maybe not both of them, maybe just one of them, the Worm Queen. Based on our interactions with the Queens, it only appears that the Elder Queen has any sense in her, and during their attempts to take our body as our vessel, the Worm Queen goes on rants talking about how badly she wants to eat us, and the Elder Queen has to literally remind her that eating us would destroy the whole point, because they need our bodies to live in, not for consumption. These short interactions with the Queens show us that both the Queens have slipping mental fortitude, but the Worm Queen in particular has delved completely into insanity. And this might be a big reason Digital Extremes has been so inactive with the Twin Queens. Because I mean, the one left alive is a complete idiot. There's a ton of potential, there's a lot of chance and potential that she's even capable of leading the Grineer. It doesn't know how to effectively command the Grineer, or choose the right projects to greenlight and pour resources into. Under her command, the Grineer Empire has probably weakened an unbelievable amount. leading them to be much less relevant when it comes to what's going on in the Origin system. So this is potentially one of the reasons the Worm Queen, and by extension the Grineer, have been so quiet recently. Further evidence that this is a potential reason is a cinematic we see of the Worm Queen that came out as a trailer for the Lua's Prey update. The Worm Queen is seen talking to and playing with a Grineer helmet with her sister's crown on it, which she refers to as her elder sister. This shows the Worm's sister's complete reliance on the elder sister, and this reliance is likely part of the reason the Grineer had been so inactive lately. She's too scared to make decisions without her. Another potential reason that the Queen has been pretty quiet is because she's likely trying to find a way to revive her sister, which is potentially why she's gathering so much Kuva blood, because she absolutely isn't just gathering that much just to keep creating Kuva licks over and over again. While it's unclear if she can still even revive her sister using continuity, since it's been so long since she died, that might be one of the primary goals of the Worm Queen currently. This goal would obviously take a ton of time. First, you would need to make a whole new body for the Elder Queen, then you need to gather an unbelievable amount of Kuva blood to help with the transfer, and finally you would need to ensure that she still exists in the planes of existence in the first place, and then somehow transfer her conscience into a new body, even though you're completely unsure where it is since it's no longer inside of the body. I'll be completely honest with you guys, I'm not super sure how this part of the lore works. I bet there's some experts out there, or, well, the people who actually wrote the lore for the game that know, but that is not me. I do not know how continuity works at all. Well, I do know a little bit, but not that well. From my understanding, it shouldn't be possible to continue continuity after a certain point of time, but I'm pretty sure that is currently one of the goals of the Worm Queens, which is likely what's holding her back as well. Finally, the last thing I want to discuss about why the Grineer haven't really made a move is because they're still reeling from the Narmer invasion. Unlike Parvos Granum, who has a better opportunity than ever before to make a move while forces in the Origin system are weakened, the Grineer are, well, one of those weakened forces. So that might explain their inactivity as well if we're looking into it for lore reasons. Yes, I know the reason we aren't getting anything with the Grineer is because Digital Extremes is focused on other storylines. I just love the lore of this game, so I'm trying to find justifiable reasons for the lack of moves. Because, well, it makes me happy to have a cohesive world that makes sense. Now we've discussed why I think are the three most likely reasons the Queen has been quiet. I want to talk about what could potentially be the next story beats for the Twin Queens, like what they might be getting up to next when Digital Extremes does choose to focus on them once again. Despite the Worm Queen being a completely insane loser who really likes eating people, I think there's actually a lot of potential with her story moving forward, and of course by extension, the Grineer as a whole. I think the most obvious path for the devs to take next with the Grineer is finding a way to return the Elder Queen to action. She's the smarter one, the more powerful one, and the one who the Grineer look to for leadership. The Worm Queen was very clearly the second in command, and we do take a closer look at the two of them. And I think both her and the Grineer leadership around her would be extremely interested in getting the Elder Queen back into action. There's even potential there for some unknown force to be the one they actually bring back with continuity. And instead of the Elder Queen returning, there's this new mysterious stranger leading the Grineer, who they think is their Elder Queen, but it isn't. Or of course you could obviously just have her return and reassume her throne as the all-powerful leader. I'll be honest though, I kinda don't want that to happen because it would just reset the Grineer to how they were before. I think killing the Elder Queen showed tangible progress in our battles against the Grineer, and I would hate to have that progress destroyed or erased or whatever. So even though I think a storyline involving the return of the Elder Queen is probably the most likely option, it's not the one that I would exactly be super excited to see. Another potentially very interesting storyline is the Grineer get tired of the Worm Queen and get angry or confused by her nonsensical commands and wishes. To be completely honest, individuals like Sargus Rook, Counselor Vahek, and Talar Gore are all extremely effective leaders, and while two of those three are dead, the point is that the Grineer leadership has historically known what they were doing. I can't imagine leaders like them being okay with someone as insane and unintelligent as the Worm Queen leading them, and I could easily see them disobeying commands given to them, because they believe a different option is truly the better choice. This could snowball into a massive civil war, just like one I imagine the Corpus will soon be approaching, with the Queen Loyalists trying to defeat a Grineer army united under the banner of one of their top generals. The American in me might be seeping out here, talking about defeating the Queen loyalist here. I'm getting excited just thinking about it. Put me on the front lines with my Grenier brothers right now. Now that I think about it, there's been a lot of countries that have fought for independence from monarchies, so we're going to have a lot of people supporting this fight here. Sorry, British people watching this. You're going to be the only one siding with the Queen in this scenario. Well, I mean, that's definitely not true. Everyone drop a comment down below on what country has your favorite monarchy, historically or currently. You know, there might be a lot of monarchy supporters out there besides just British people. If you guys actually drop a comment talking about your favorite monarchies in this video, people are going to be super confused when they first click on and see people talking about like the Belgian royal family or something. If you're already commenting, by the way, please like and subscribe. I would really appreciate it, as well as hype up the video if that feature is available for you. Anyway, I really do appreciate the support. I hope to keep releasing content for you guys. Anyway, there's just one major issue with this option, and that's the fact Councillor Vahek is really the only powerful and influential Grenier commander who is still alive, and the only one who could really lead this rebellion. Problem with that being that he's by far the general that has the most loyalty to the Twin Queens. I could easily see Talor Gore, Sargus Rook, and especially Captain Vor switching up, but Vahek has consistently been their most loyal soldier. While Captain Vor is still alive, he's joined the Void and doesn't really have anything to do with the Grenier anymore. Then of course Gore and Sargus Rook are both dead. So it's pretty unlikely that Vahek betrays the Queens, and none of the other current Grenier leaders have enough power or influence to cause this to happen. Of course, if Vahek did betray the Worm Queen, he'd probably win very easily, since he actually has combat leadership experience and strategies that have worked on the battlefield. Anyway, there's a lot of potential for the Grenier to enter a civil war as well. I'm just not sure who would actually lead it to happen, since there's a lack of options. Finally, the last thing I can see happening is the Worm Queen just going apeshit and attacking everyone around her, heating up the Cold War that they currently have going on with the Corpus, and potentially losing or gaining some land against the Corpus, depending on how the Tenno decides to influence a conflict like that. She'd also pushed hard against the Tenno, blaming them for the death of her sister, and trying her best to get that Tenno's body for her sister, or well, to like eat like she originally wanted to do. I think that's kind of it for the ideas that I see as a possibility though. Obviously, I'm sure there's a lot more that I didn't think of, and if you thought of some yourself, I'd love to hear them down in the comments. Theorizing about what could be next for Warframe is one of my favorite pastimes, and these final sections talking about what could be next in these Did Warframe Forget videos are always my favorite. But yeah, let me know what you guys think is next, what you guys think should be next, and what the Worm Queen could be up to right now since she's been so quiet. I'd love to hear what you guys think legitimately. I always try to respond to a decent amount of comments under every video. That's all I got for this video, folks. I think we covered a lot. We covered who the Twin Queens were and are, what they could currently be up to, and finally, what could be next for them when Digital Extremes finally decides to make them the focus once again. The other queen is unfortunately, in my opinion, the more important and interesting of the two sisters, so I can kind of understand why DE is taking a break from the Grenier while they try to figure out what to do with the Worm Queen. Let me know what other characters have been forgotten by Digital Extremes, or probably more accurately put on ice while they focus on their current stories, but that title wouldn't sound as good. I mean, did Warframe put the Twin Queens on ice? Just sounds like a bit of a mouthful. I'm not sure. But anyway, that's all I have to say about them for right now. If you made it this far into the video, I really do appreciate it. Leave a like and subscribe, please. It helps the channel a ton, and I want to keep this good momentum going for the channel. I have a real hope about making Warframe like a full-time job, as unrealistic as that seems, but it's just been going so great recently thanks to you guys, and I really appreciate it. I want to say a huge shout out to my members, Silent King 5000 and Jay, who've been supporting this channel for so long and are absolutely amazing. They've been leaving comments on videos for more than a year now. You guys are great, and you've supported the channel so much. But yeah, that wraps up the video for today. I really do appreciate the support recently. You guys are absolutely amazing, and my experience with this channel has been absolutely amazing because of all of you. Stay blessed out there, stay happy, and most importantly, stay safe. Goodbye.